I'm Jackie, and this is the Natural Healing Reel. Today, my guest is Jude Hotep. She heads up a Facebook group for spiritual entrepreneurs and female entrepreneurs and light workers who desire financial healing and a reconnection with their sacred feminine. She regards herself as the goddess astrologer and soul coach. Find her at thegoddessastrologer.com. Welcome to the Natural Healing Reel, Jude.
Thanks for having me. This is so wonderful to be here with you. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. I appreciate that you come to share with us. So you have quite a background and many things that you are trained in. So where did all of this begin? And tell us about your journey and how this all began for you.
I really was a kid who was very bookish. I read a lot, and we had this section of the library that was a metaphysical section, and I'm probably one of the only people that checked out some of those books. I went back years later and looked for my favorite book that I've just never really found anywhere else. And I was the only one stamped in it back when we had stamps and not everything was digital. So I just read those books and dug into self-development, psychology, metaphysics, ancient.
What were you reading? I think my first book that I ever read was Think and Grow Rich. And I don't even know where it came from.
Yeah. This is
Powers of the Subconscious Mind.
Yeah. I think this book was called The Occult by Colin Wilson. Yeah, really looking at the different faculties of the mind and what we're capable of as humans. And the occult's just a word that means hidden, right? But that word can sometimes has a bad rap, but it's just a word that means hidden, unknown.
Nice. It's like spiritual, right? It just means know thyself.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Which was written across all the, the temples of the mystery schools in ancient Egypt. And exactly. And so many of us are disconnected from that because we've been kind of systematically disconnected from our interconnectedness with the celestial and the earth and our intuition and instincts, especially as women, because we're so powerful as women. And we channel, we know we're diviners, we're natural seers and oracles.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And the rising of the Divine Feminine is happening right now, which is really quite an incredible thing and feeling to experience, isn't it?
It is. It's amazing to see women rising all over the planet. I just kind of talked about that on my channels, on my podcast, where I do the sun sign horoscopes every Monday, because we have this Venus sesquisquare, Uranus and Saturn right now in the sky. And what it means is really this understanding of how women in 2020 just started to awaken all across the planet and are rising and are stepping into their autonomy and their authority and ending the narcissistic abuse patterns, ending the patriarchal relationships. And patriarchal is a word that triggers divine masculine men, unfortunately, but patriarchy is not good for men or women. So it's a word that's against, it's not great for humanity. So I don't want to never bash men at all in any way. I want to help men come along for this journey. But that Venus sesquisquare, Uranus, Saturn is this like hammer of Thor. So it's like all the intense weather patterns, the hurricanes in the United States, the one headed for Mexico. It is also all the women rising. Venus is women. And, Saturn's the old ways, the old paradigms. It's also the holding back. And Uranus is the new way, the future and innovation and going against the status quo and going against convention and stepping outside the box. And it's that evolution. So we're in this kind of dynamic of the square from Uranus to Saturn, the old way and the new. And so when women step out into freedom, then we have Roe v. Wade. Women step out in freedom, the Amini, the woman in Iran, burned her hijab, and then they killed her. And so all of these periods through history, the Elizabethan era, the Troubadour era, when women were getting out of domestication, which actually made a more egalitarian society, more fairness, justice, from love for all people, all of humanity, men would come along for the ride, but the other authoritarian groups and power over groups that wanted control and domination would always do something to suppress that and push women back into domestication again. So this time, that's not going to happen.
What's so great about what you're sharing is the understanding of the planets that like scientifically kind of centuries old information that's supporting what you're saying, right? It's
Yeah,
interesting to hear that.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's great knowledge that you have there. Um, yeah, this whole divine feminine rising thing, it's rising in the men as well, right? For them to find their balance so that they're not, like, it's for all of us, right?
Absolutely. It is important to make that distinction. Thank you about that. It's not gender, it's the divine feminine within humanity. And that means that women need to heal their toxic masculine, their wounded masculine within them. And men need to be connected to that divine feminine within themselves, but also it's the environment for them to feel safe with that. Men have been told their emotions aren't allowed and not to feel, and told what masculinity is when that's simply not true. So it's definitely all of us together. It's all humanity together needing to rise and do this together.
And just I finally got to Europe a couple years ago, and it's not that long ago that we weren't allowed. Like, we were in those dungeons, and it's quite shocking when you're in those coliseums and they're, digging up more things. It was just like, we've really come a far, far way, I believe, in a short time. Not a short time, but from being in the dungeons and not being allowed to, not even allowed to go and sit, or you have to be underneath the ground or whatever.
Yeah, I think you're like, that's amazing what you've seen, and like that connection to seeing it for real, how visceral it is. Because what's interesting is it's like we have come so far, but also I don't think people realize how regressed humanity has been under this dominator culture and this patriarchy. We should be light years more advanced than we are. And it was only in 2012 that women that were stay-at-home mothers got the right to have a credit card using the income of their household. So we're talking only 10 years ago. So that women that were stay-at-home moms that
Wow.
got a credit card. So it's like we've come so far. And yes, it's this both, in my opinion. I really try to always focus on where we're going, what we're creating, and really help people to see that, look, it's being dismantled and we already infiltrated by being born. And so all you have to do is just focus on what you're creating in your life. Like, we don't have to fight the dominator culture. We just have to focus on what we're creating and build what we're doing, because we're building the parallel reality in and around the old system. And the old system is being dismantled. Pluto's in Capricorn at the last degree. It's going to move into Aquarius next year. And so this is a massive change. When the outer planets change sign, it's a big deal because they take a long time to change sign, or spend a long time in a sign. And that Capricorn is society. It's big systems like agriculture and education and government and corporations. And so Pluto is the like grow or die. And so Pluto destroys everything that isn't evolving. And what's so funny is Pluto gets a bad rap, but it actually has this heart-shaped iceberg on it. When they've taken pictures. And so it's like this deep transformation, the death rebirth cycle that is so challenging, also is from the
Like the
heart
death card or
itself.
the tower, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good thing. Double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that you have that information. That's awesome. I don't know about all of that, but I am fascinated, and I'm kind of delving into that and learning. I'm always up in the with my head outside in the sky, and see a lot of things that are very bright and very close these days. Do you see my little angel wings that are coming out on top of my
Yeah,
head?
I do. It's so
They're on my
great.
fireplace. There we are. That's what that is. It's kind of funny. But is that a thing that's happening? Because I'm out there taking pictures, and it seems like the stars are not really stars. They look like they're
Planets, some of the
well, those
planets.
are planets, or they're
Yeah.
what is going on out there?
Yeah, some of the planets are really bright. We in December we had the famous Jupiter Saturn conjunction in Aquarius,
Yeah.
and because they two planets come together and conjoin, it's called a conjunction when they come together and they're merging energies. And it's said to be the Christmas star. It's said to be what was in the sky when Jesus was born. It's said it's so bright because there's two planets coming together, so it's very, very bright. We also had this Venus Jupiter conjunction earlier this year that was very bright in the sky and looked like this giant star. We
There's one right now that's very big and very bright and very close to
Yeah.
me. It's like, what is that? So, I'm taking pictures and I zoom in and
Yeah, there's this great app called Skywalk and it helps a lot. They need to
okay.
recalibrate the app a little bit, but it's set for like sidereal, but it is a great app to help you identify what's in the sky because Mars and Venus and Mercury are all visible. However, Venus right now is casening the sun soon, meaning that she is kind of being blocked out by the sun. She's a morning star and she doesn't like to be a morning star. She likes to be an evening star. And so she's kind of going through the underworld in a sense for these 4 months coming up or these next 3 months coming up. So a lot of stuff is surfacing and bubbling up from our deep unconscious to be healed and looked at. And of course, we have this full moon that's coming on the 9th this week. It's an Aries full moon conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer. So a lot can be surfacing from our wounded ego, those pockets within us. So
Yeah.
it's really about don't suppress it, just look at it, allow it to come up and arise so it can be healed and released.
Well, I'm grateful to be doing that work right now myself, and I'm grateful to be seen and having that veil lifted a little bit more so I can
Yeah.
really see and release this. It's incredible what we're storing inside our energetic body.
Yeah, and our psyche soul, right? It's past lives, it's just ancient material, it's subconscious stuff from childhood, all the conditioning and programs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that you're doing that work because it's all of us doing the work individually that is changing and evolving humanity collectively.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
always
and there's no other choice, right? Like it's
well,
like
plenty of people deny and stuff it back down and make that shadow bigger. And I'm like, hey, it's going to have more gravity and
yeah.
more intensity, but
Well,
people are where they're at on their journey. So
and this onion thing, like I'm like, okay, didn't I clear that? Oh no, there's more.
I always tell my
One
clients, it's
more.
like you're coming from another angle. It's like you
Yes.
understand it from this angle, but now we need to come from it from this angle. It's kind of the Aquarius vibe. Aquarius says they're very cerebral. They want to understand something from every single angle, up, down, and around. And it's kind of that way that, no, you did heal it. You really did let go of that. But now,
No,
we're
there's more. Yeah.
hitting it from a different side or different perspective or,
A
yeah.
100%. That's a great, thank you. That's a great way to look at that, perceive that, because that's exactly what it is. It's just more like it's being able to see more and more of, I guess, the childhood trauma, right? The
Yeah.
daddy issues and yeah, playing that out apparently in all of my relationships still, even though, you think, yeah, I got that one. Ego jumps forth and woohoo, right? Not
Yeah,
me.
I mean, we all do it. It's like this, what's in our subconscious, we all play it out until we do, go in there consciously and release it and work with it. And that's why I'm just such a proponent for the inner work being like a lifestyle, because when the stars change and the planets change in the sky, then we're provoked in new ways that we weren't our whole lifetimes, because these positions and planets haven't been in this position during our lifetime. So we didn't get a chance to have this trigger to provoke. And it's like, okay, good. Now it's accessible where it wasn't before. So it's almost like sometimes people think, oh, I'm doing something wrong or what went bad or it's
Oh yeah, I was
me.
doing
Like,
that. Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Did you go right back into to scolding and shaming ourselves, right? Like,
That's exactly what, yeah, to really like
so I'm
that's
a Mercury girl and it's always in retrograde. What the heck's up with that?
this is actually such a powerful Mercury retrograde. We can actually track the Mercury retrogrades and I'll pull up my notebook and see what was going down, because Mercury is in shadow. It's out of retrograde. It's direct. It's paused today, the last day, and it went station to go forward yesterday. So it pauses for like 3 days. And then now it's going to be in shadow until October 17th, meaning that we're going to get the last pieces of the puzzle about this Mercury retrograde was about. And I can kind of share with you an example that helps to understand it.
Yeah.
Because what planets do when they go retrograde is they go to a degree, and we call these, just degrees when we're looking at a chart, because that's how we know if it's a square, which is a hard aspect, or a trine, which is a harmonic aspect. And so then it retrogrades back over that place, and then it goes forward back over this place. So it makes this like back and forth motion, seemingly. And so we get these 3 passes at this area of the sky about our psyche soul, like where this hits us. And not everyone is affected, but some people, the way their charts line up, are affected. And so this Mercury retrograde went into shadow August 21st. So it's like, you can look at like, what did you do August 21st? For me, I was doing a house sitting gig in Austin and figuring out if I liked Austin or not. And then Mercury went into retrograde in September 9th. And that, for me, I went to Colorado, started looking for places in Austin. And then Mercury went direct October 2nd, yesterday. And now I've got my place, and now I'm just finalizing all the details. And then Mercury exits shadow on the 17th, and I'll most likely be settled by then and really getting into a routine. So that's kind of, you can follow and track what happens with these planets going forward, back, forward, back.
Wow, I love that. That's awesome. That's great wisdom.
Pluto is going forward too on the 8th, right before this full moon, but it's going to station for 10 days. And so you can kind of look back to January and what was going on in January, and that stuff can now really have the space and grace to move forward. So it's something to think about.
Thank God.
Right?
January was a big one. Yeah, and so when you're saying when it goes retrograde, it goes kind of back and forth, is that when we're kind of seeing ourselves doing like I thought, like I'm here, and then you're going back 3 steps and forward 4 steps and back 5. Is that kind of when we get that feeling?
It can be, it depends. It's basically like, okay, whatever the theme is for you. Like for me, it was moving. For you, it might be a project in your business, or for someone else, it might be healing. So it's like, okay, that's when that popped up, when this planet stations or enters shadow to go retrograde. And so you get the idea of what the story is going to be about. Then it goes retrograde, and now you're reviewing, revising, recalibrating, doing the things, figuring things out. And then it goes forward, and then it has a shadow on the other side. And so you're getting the last pieces of the story and maybe doing the things, putting them in place. And it's it's a little different from everyone, but when you start to track these things, it's really fascinating to see what's happening in your life. And you feel a lot more connected into the interconnectedness of the celestial to the earth, to yourself, that cyclical nature of life. And we're meant to have periods of going into the dark and going inward and recalibrating, revisioning. And we're meant to have the outward summer times.
Yeah. That's how we grow and expand and have our polarities, right? Yeah. Yep. So tell me about this soul work that you're doing. So you're doing the astrology. So then, how does the soul work piece in with that?
Yeah, so I've always been a coach, guide, mentor, and doing deep transformational work, particularly with women in a mystery school for over 8 years, and just done a lot. And so I'm a coach, but I call myself a soul coach because I don't coach at the level of the personality only. A lot of people are just mindset coaches, and that's amazing. It's needed, but I really coach at the level of soul, because everything in the DSM is unconscious beliefs, the shadow, or past life stuff, everything. And so it's like, if we deal with the personality, the thoughts, emotions, and our inspired action as the vehicle for our soul, but understand that the way we're going to have all of that line up and align and be that embodied soul is by going in and getting the tangles and the brambles out at the soul level. And that's where the problems really are, getting to the actual cause of the problem instead of just dealing with the symptoms. So I really call myself a soul coach, an alchemical initiatrix, meaning that we alchemize the shadow and the pain and loss and challenge into the greatest power, into retrieving your innate self-worth, into stepping into that empowered woman and upgrading, whether it's revenue or next level of visibility, or the healing work, etc. And the astrology, I really created this coaching program that's unique. There's nothing out there like it, and no one really does what I do. It's just my evolution and what I see is needed with clients over years and years. And I do astrological shamanic coaching. So I am astrologer. I do individual astrology readings, or monthly or quarterly. And then I do coaching where I do astrological shamanic coaching. So we pull up your chart in the session, you're learning your 10 planets, your 2 nodes, and your rising sign all along the journey, while we're also working on deep transformation of everything I was just speaking thinking about, and the arc of what you're wanting to create in your life, and that shamanic journey of going through the cyclical nature of the birth, death, and rebirth process. And so it's very powerful, very life-changing.
Yeah, it sounds incredible. And did you have somebody who coached you through it? Did you have did you have mentors that guided you to this kind of stuff?
I'm a different bird. I have a very unconventional life. I have an Aquarius South node. So my teachers were many, and just so many throughout my life. So my teachers, guides, and my mentors were so many. I'm somebody who I don't stop. I keep going until I find the answer or the solution. And so sometimes that might be 1,000 things, but I just keep going. So
people call it one of my faults, because I'm always the thirst for the knowledge, and it's like, and I'm always I love
definitely got the mercurial energy in there for sure. And me too. And that was a lot of my journey as well. I mean, I'm trauma informed. I had to heal my own PTSD. I had real PTSD for about 10 plus years. I had acute insomnia for 10 plus years. I had narcissists from past lives. I had to go through some journeys with these really acute abusers, and to end that abuse cycle, but in that karmic past life cycle, actually finally woke up in this life and ended some loops from past life after past life after past life. So I've done all of this work. I do this myself. I do my soul work every day. So yeah, I absolutely practice what I teach and what I coach on. And it's really a lifestyle, because when you learn how to do the soul work yourself, you're just unstoppable.
That's so cool. I love that. Love that. I have been gifted with being able to chat with people around the world like yourself that have incredible, what they're going through, or they're living, and their different modalities. And it's been quite a gift of, you just can't imagine all the people out there that have like all of this natural healing and stories of, and our mainstream has no idea what's going on. That's what I think, right? Because this is so important. I mean, this is what we're not taught about as
in school growing up.
Lots of friends that don't even still understand when you're talking energy, like, how your energy, and they're kind of looking like, it's like, well, everything's energy, right? So it's like, but
there would be nothing animating our bodies. A lot of people don't realize it's like, you don't have a soul. You are a soul. You have a body. You're this invisible, animating presence of soul in taking on a carnation, a soul concarnate, I call it, being in this carnation. So it's like it's the Pisces Virgo axis. There's not 12 signs. There's actually 6 with 2 different consciousnesses, 2 polarities. So the Virgo Pisces axis is the Virgo, the tangible reality, the day-to-day work routines, health. But the Pisces is the intangible, the invisible, the divine love, the empathy, the interconnectedness with all of life. And it's like, we have to have the Pisces to animate the Virgo tangible reality. Otherwise that wouldn't exist. It can't exist without the other. And what's funny is Wundt and Pavlov systematically took the soul out of science in the 40s. I can't remember if it's the 1840s or the 1940s. But Wundt and Pavlov, 2 scientists, Pavlov's dog, probably everyone knows that. So these, psychologists, scientists, and Wundt said, look, you're not going to get published as a scientist if you include the soul in your experiments, because this soul thing is just messing everything up and not getting us replicatable and duplicatable of results. So they literally systematically took the soul out of science and said nobody would get published if it's included. And so science went to this very objective, compartmentalizing, pulling things apart direction. And it really skewed, it changed our worldview, people's worldview, especially the general population in a way. But there was always all of us who were always awakened or connected or having questions, but the suppression has been so intense. So that's what we're coming out of.
And it's so weird, right? It's still there. Like, it's still, people don't want to say that they're interested, because they feel like they're going to be judged or something.
They're in the closet, their families are worried about this and that. It's a lot about what I talk about in my work. It's like we're trying to fit in, we'll do you in. We're really being asked to step into that authenticity of who we are, speak our voice. The reason, not speaking up is why women have been killed and why they're still being mutilated, their genitalia is being mutilated, why they're still being killed and raped to this day. And whenever there's war, more women are raped during war. So it's like we have to realize the gift of living in places where we are, quote unquote free. It's that we must get free from the programming and that conditioning to be silent and to be in the closet about our truth.
Yeah, I can't seem to keep my mouth shut. So there's it's there that inner knowing and truth. It's just, how can you, once you have that, it's so strong and becomes, I don't know how once you know that part of yourself, how you can be any other way. Do you know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
I love that they just call it authenticity. It's just perfect. Because it's a hip thing now, right? It's like, oh, good. I can just state, what my experience is, and that's acceptable now. So it's perfect.
Yeah, I do think it's true though that a lot of people are spiritually in the closet. And I think that I think what I really recommend is encourage is go to YouTube, go to places and get other perspectives coming in, input good stuff and peruse around and open up the narrow pathways of thinking. Because our brain only looks for corroborating evidence. It's kind of like when you lose your keys and you walk past them 10 times before you finally see it. It's like your brain literally didn't show you that they were there because you're thinking I lost my keys. Yeah. It's very true. So it's like when you're thinking that the world is a certain way, there's no openness, not you, but the proverbial you, like there's no openness to what all of the amazing life that's out there. And people are making new worlds right now. There's people in the UK, they're making new health systems, new way to do agriculture that are for the people, with the people, that it's that it's prices that make sense. There's people in Israel that are making this big community of all of the different big organizations, agriculture, education, healthcare, insurance, and coming together to do it for affordable prices and make it for the people and not having all this tangle of 10 different companies to do insurance and things. So that we are doing it. We're changing the world right now. It's happening. But I think a lot of people aren't seeing it because they're not seeking it out. And they've got those old stagnant beliefs that they need to break open so they can finally see and have it pop up in their feed and their YouTube feed. And
yeah. And I think the awareness of understanding that everything that we have in front of us is just stuff that we've thought about many times and it materialized, right? But if you don't have that, I think that the separateness of all of us is so tricky for, like even for myself, I've known that for, it's like a drop of water is like, it's nothing without the body of water, right? Like we're all one, but we're all looking so different. And it's just hard, I think, for many people if they don't have the awareness that, I've had this awareness for my whole lifetime, and it's still hard sometimes to look at what's there and say that, okay, well, yeah, we're all one. Yeah, we're not, because we're looking at what is, right?
It's a big part of the spiritual journey. It's like holding disparate ideas, the paradox that we're all one, but we're individuals in individual bodies. And it's definitely, we're all one in this more cosmic spiritual form. But the truth is my guides will, talk to me about this, that, we're all from different places, different star systems. There's the Orion family, there's the Pleiadian family, there's Arcturians and the Andromedans. There's all these different star systems and places in the universe, the multiverse, and people are from different places. And so it's like when you really get into it, it really expands our conscious awareness. And I can look at an astrology chart and I can look at those things in your chart to see where your galactic family is. And And also what's amazing is that the James Webb Telescope that's been releasing pictures, that's newly out there, has taken pictures of the other universes. We live in a multiverse, not a universe.
But this is all just given to us now, right? Like we didn't grow up knowing that. The mainstream doesn't know about Palladians and the Arcturians and right? Like I actually just started learning about, well, I'd never even heard their names prior to, I don't know, 4 years ago. And then it's fascinating, like reading and all the books, and I listen to the videos. I think it's, you know, that it's 100% bang on, like, you know, just your natural knowing, right? But we've never even, and we think that we're the only ones out there, or whatever we've been told for so many years, right? Unless you're
Yeah.
like yourself and have been educating yourself down this field, right?
I mean, I think people are waking up and having their own definitely spiritual awakenings at all in all different ways all across the world. I think, you know, for me, I've always kind of been in this world, the metaphysical, always drawn in it, always doing some newfangled spiritual whatever, and doing a meditation or a retreat or this or that throughout my life. So I really have done a lot. You know, I'm a Diksha blessing giver. I did bars, access consciousness. I'm energy medicine. I do ancestral clearings and past life channeling. So I've always been in it. There's Edgar Casey from way back when. So there's been people awakening, but what happened for the awakenings before is that they awakened at, you know, it was not en masse like it was in 2020. In 2020, we had an en masse group awakening across the planet. But in 87, that was a big one. They call it like the convergence. But if you look at what came out in 87, you have Byron Katie that started talking about our thoughts and let's get control of our mind and start really understanding that we can program our, you know, that we can program our mind and wake up to the consciousness of it. Louise Hay in the 80s with her HIV work and AIDS work. And then she started a publishing company at 62 years old. And then Hay House bloomed all these authors out into the world and all of these seers, psychics, sages, etc. There's just, and then in the 40s, we had Madame Blavatsky. She was an awakened one that traveled all across the world and had to dress up like a man because she wouldn't have been allowed to travel like that as a woman. And she put out this material. So you can look at the Theosophical Society. They have a great YouTube channel and dig into that. And that's pretty deep stuff. So we've had these pockets. We've had these awakened ones helping us, guiding, bringing, disseminating the information. But it's like, you know, did you get access to it? Did you come across it? When was your soul ready to turn on? Because my guides will say that some people, they're willing and then they're not. They're willing and then they're not to awaken to higher consciousness. And it can be scary at first when you start to realize just how free you are, that you don't have to do anything. That people are like, yeah, but this, but this, but this, but it's like, but you don't have to do anything. Like you really don't. And people are living by these false rule books of society that don't exist. And they're living by other people's value systems that aren't their own, that weren't consciously chosen. And so it's like time to wake up and start looking at like what values you're living by. We have a Taurus North Node, and Taurus is all about our values and our self-worth and our money. And so Uranus is conjunct that Taurus North Node in Taurus. And so Uranus is new or lightning, awakenings, breakthrough, break down to breakthrough. And so it's like saying we can't do abundance Taurus the same way anymore. Money is different now. Money is going to be different. And then of course, this democratization of information and consciousness through technology, everybody having a computer and everyone having access to the internet all across the world for, you know, on a more macro level, that has allowed us to just keep expanding. So this is really an unstoppable trajectory that we're on. These are these big 26,000 year cycles in astrology where we're coming out of the dark cycle and into this light cycle. There's photonic light pouring onto the planet.
So talk to me about that a bit. This solar flash that we're supposed to be, we're getting hit by some of that. Is that correct?
I haven't really looked at the solar flare information recently, but yeah, all through the last
Isn't
couple of
that the
years.
26,000 year thing? And then
Well,
usually,
that's different. Those are two different things. The solar flare activity, is it ERMs? I don't remember, but I haven't actually looked into that for a while. But we've been getting hit with those a lot for the last 2 years, particularly. Some people are really loud about it, but but to be honest, I think, you know, we're being hit with it. That energy is coming in. We are adjusting. It's okay. So I don't think there's anything to be alarmed about. The big 26,000 year cycles, those are these big processions of the equinox. And it's these cycles of dark and light, for lack of a better term. The dark after this new 26,000 year cycle will be a different kind of dark. We won't be able to conceptualize it. It won't be dark like we've known it before. The suppression, the abuse, the violence, the hatred, it'll be a different thing. So just like we're kind of evolving, where it used to be this fear of violence, and then it was like fear of scarcity, and now it's kind of this fear of fear almost. It's like we keep evolving, and we're changing from that amygdala fear brain into a feeling people. All the little children coming in right now, they know they're no and yes. They're like, that doesn't feel good, I'm not doing it. Whereas we've been conditioned in our generations, you know, to do things when it doesn't feel good and to go against our innate knowing and instincts, or we had to, or it was abuse. So we're coming out of that and going towards, does it feel good or not? No, I don't have to go to Christmas. It doesn't feel good. I don't want to be there. And I'm not doing it just because the family does it every year. You know, it's that kind of stuff where people are changing and people are saying no anymore to all the old traditions that just don't lift you up and feed your light and serve you and come from your heart.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? It's great. It's just, it's about time.
It's way
Right?
past time, right? It's
Yeah,
so
just to just
past
be able to
time.
be honest about how what's real for you, and yeah, instead of just the people pleasing
The people
always.
pleasing. And you know what's funny about that is that the nodes are these two calculated, in case people don't know, they're these two calculated points of the moon, north node, south node. And so the north node is our evolutionary potential and where our soul and our world soul wants to grow to. And then the south node is past lives, where we've been conditioned before. It has gifts that we want to integrate with that north node, but we tend to skew it very negatively because we don't want to do those old patterns anymore. We want to wake up from that. And so the world, like, you have a south node, north node individually for your whole life. That is like you're trying to go towards that evolutionary potential. And then the world has a south node, north node, but it changes every 18 months. So we go through these 18-month cycles where we're trying to heal the south node, integrate the gifts, and do the north node. So for the world right now, January is when it shifted into Taurus and Scorpio. So we're trying to stop doing the lack of boundaries, the psychodramas, the crises, the love of drama conflict, the love of depravity, how depravity has been made cool in our society for a very long time with that South Node, you know, the mafia shows and the strip clubs and the like objectification of women, and women putting themselves on display because they only think their value is their body, and that whole conditioning cycle that's so detrimental to women's souls and the soul of humanity. And we're supposed to go towards that north node of Taurus, peace, love, simplicity. Like, I'm hungry, I eat, I'm tired, I sleep. I don't have to do the schedule and routine. If I'm tired, I can take a nap during the day and I can do the work later. You know, making a routine, staying home from work, because that's what we want to do now. A lot of places are trying to push us back into into offices, and people are saying, no, I'm gonna go get a different job, or no, I'm gonna go, I'll take a cut and pay to stay at home. And so it's interesting what's happening, and we're going towards that north node of peace and just simplicity, and also abundance, knowing our self-worth, knowing our resourcefulness to create value in the world that we then get paid for, and that we don't need other people to survive. So, and then what you said about people pleasing, the nodes will change next summer, 2023, into Libra Aries. So we'll be healing all that Libra shadow, Libra unconscious stuff, people pleasing, you know, demurring, prostrating ourselves, being fair to everyone but ourselves, you know, trying to do it all for other people, being in groups and trying to just make harmony, and being so afraid of conflict. And of course, it's like how we're defining conflict, right? And then we're meant to do that Aries, which is autonomy, independence, freedom, assertion, not the shadow Aries, aggression or violence, but assertion, assertiveness, and knowing who we are, and being the unicorn. Aries is the unicorn of the zodiac. It makes magic because it believes in magic. It gets knocked down and it keeps getting backed up. It keeps going. And it's really this fiery, youthful energy. So it's funny that you say that. One of my coaches, she always said, hey, you know, she had kids and she's like, I didn't go to the birthday party. She's like, I don't like going to kids' birthday parties. It's not cool. It's not fun. I can drop them off and pick them up. Why do I have to go? And so it's like these old antiquated things that we think we have to do. And it's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You just have to be able to handle other people's reactions.
That's right. And they're going to say, right, they're going to say it anyway. So they're going to say something anyway. And,
About
right,
something,
or
right.
don't go.
Yeah.
Yeah, honoring the self. It's a good thing. I definitely feel a shift that has been happening in that area for me for the last little bit. Just not really having it. I'm not. There's no other place to be but to be speaking my truth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas maybe before I wouldn't have said as much. You know, but now it's like it's just it's exactly what you're talking about. So it's really, that's just amazing. Listen to all that information that just rattled off out of your little head there. My goodness, it's incredible.
I have a lot of mercurial energy too. I've got a Gemini moon and Mercury in the third. So yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. It's just great information. So what else? What else is your favorite thing that you love to coach, and what do you see the most benefit when you're coaching?
My soulmate clients are those women who, I'm going to be working with men eventually, but I'm really focused on women right now. But are those women who just want to do the work and want to dig in and understand the transformation and are ready for those transformations and those epiphanies, even if it just completely shatters them and alters them and shifts them. I love the women that are like, I want my real life, my new life. I love working with women that want to make $1 million. My work with women is like, we all need to come into the female community together, make an indigenous $1 million+, because when we're making money, it's our value system that's reflected in society, not the old power over culture and ways. And so for me, a lot of my work is about, divine feminine soulpreneurs, women who are entrepreneurs that want to grow to $1 million+. And that can be intimidating for women that haven't made 100K yet. So it's like, well, we just start wherever we are is all okay. So the other thing too, is I'm trauma informed. I work with women who are it's just like they start to realize their own worth and value and that they matter so much. And they start to connect with how much genius they have bubbling up inside them that maybe never got a chance to be seen or heard, because no one ever gave them that space. No one was ever curious about what the hell they had to say. And so often we get on this kind of just regurgitating what we hear around us and not even knowing what's unique that wants to come through us. And I just love connecting women with that unique who they are, so they can have that, that beginning to turn the light bulb on of like, I matter, I mean something, I have value, damn it, and I'm here to do something important. And yeah, I mean, that's just my heart.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. I love that. We are in need of you. Right?
In need of all of us being turned on, souls on fire, just lit up and going into this world and really shining the message of being motivated by love instead of the fear or the worry, the doubt, and really getting rid of this shortage mentality or the scarcity mentality and realizing that no, we are the creators of our world.
Yeah.
And we need all of us, like Light Goddess. So my work is called The Light Goddess, and the Light Goddess isn't me. It's all of us women together who are holding hands around the globe, bringing our value and our worth and standing in our self-worth and our autonomy and saying no more of the old ways. We are creating this world that's love motivated, fairness, equality, that is all of us, being diverse. So unity through diversity, and all of us getting to be the unique self that we are and have what we need to live and actually understand there's an abundance. So it's
love that. That's great. That's amazing. And that is happening. I know that. Like, I can feel that shift happening for sure. That's exciting, isn't it?
It is. It's so exciting. Like, I think this is one of the most amazing incarnations to be awake and alive for. I feel so grateful to just be turned on at this time and to have come in at this time. Absolutely.
I had that thought this morning, actually. I have it many times, but I was thinking that this morning. It's funny that you say that.
We're on the same wave.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and so when you do your coaching, you're doing like kind of groups, Zooms. Like how if someone wanted to do some work with you, how would that look?
Yeah, there's two ways that people can work with me. So my website is getting a massive update in the background. It should be up fully by November. So don't judge the website because it was just an in between. But there's two ways people can work with me. They can go to the goddessastrologer.com. They can go to they can work with me as an astrologer only and do an astrology reading or do monthly or quarterly packages, or they can really get into a complimentary goddess call for soul coaching. So we can assess whether my program is right for them and do coaching work with me. Those are the two ways to work with me at this moment. There's more to come, but I also have the Light Goddess Sisterhood that I do monthly sacred women's circles, and then there's going to be more coming in that as we go along here. So you can join the Light Goddess Sisterhood on my website as well, and it's very inexpensive at this moment. It's only $44 for the rest of the year, and I'm doing monthly sacred circles, and there'll be a lot more coming in that. It's going to be really blooming because it's about all of us rising together and making money together and sharing resources with each other and all of that. And the other thing is that I have a podcast. There's 444 episodes there. There's a wealth of coaching and emotional work, and how do you deal with your thoughts, and how do you deal with the rage when you're waking up, and what about the spiritual journey, and how do you run business on your intuition. So they can listen to the podcast. I do sun sign horoscopes every Monday, and then they can go to my YouTube channel, the Light Goddess YouTube channel, and I do full moon and new moon astrology updates every month. This one's coming out on Wednesday for this full moon this week. And
Well, good for
can follow
you.
me on
Wow, you're
TikTok.
like a mover and shaker. Hey, that's awesome. Good for you. I will be totally checking that out. That's you have an amazing wealth of information. It's
Thank you.
very, very, yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming and sharing. That's great. So that once a month women's circle, is that just, could somebody join and do once a month and then maybe not another month? Like, is that something that you can kind of opt in on? And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I really am calling in the women are really all resonant together because I'd like us to really form deep bonds. There's going to be a lot rolling out with that, but right now they can just come and join and go to one circle, and yeah.
Yeah, I think once you get a taste of that, then you want to go back for some more. And I think, like you're saying, there's such a shift in this type of work because it's not people, you're not having to step on somebody to do or to expand or to follow your passion, right? It's everybody's lifting the other, and
Yeah, getting rid of the
flow.
competition, that kind of malignant masculine vibe. Yeah, the
Yeah,
competition,
I've
connection.
never liked that whole. I was like, I'm not playing. Leave me alone.
Right. It's like we all have our unique value and we all have our soul trajectory that's very individual. Like our soul wanted to do something specific. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, society really points out and cherishes the brain, right? The left brain. I didn't get in on that one this lifetime.
Yeah, so much. And what people don't understand, they look at the map of consciousness, Dr. Hawkins' work, that you see that reason is below love. Love makes reason and logic um, you know, meaningless. So
Absolutely.
unnecessary. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just so irrelevant is the word I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, and we really have some work to do in that love situation after the COVID and the fear. And I mean, that fear will kill more than that COVID virus, I believe.
It was definitely Project Fear and definitely trying to separate humanity. There was so many different pieces that were so obvious, even 6 feet apart, that's the distance where you can't feel the other person's energy field anymore. I mean, there's just so much about Project Fear of like separating and dividing people because everybody was rising and waking up spiritually.
Yeah.
But we're coming together, we're doing this work, and it's happening all over the planet and it can't be stopped. It's just, and some people are going to stay in the old reality, but that's the thing, is there's multiple realities existing simultaneously. So
Yeah. Well, I am interested in creating some education for our children on how we energetically are to be helping ourselves operate in this universe. Because I just like just the simplicity of, we're just not, unless you're looking for it, we're not taught what, how to help ourselves.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, like the thoughts, just the thoughts alone, right?
Right. Yeah.
You're broadcasting whatever you're thinking about, and then you're getting it back. Like just those simple little, little things that we're doing that we just. I love The Heart Has a Brain. Did you watch any of the Greg Braden stuff?
Yeah.
I love all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, the
And
heart coherence. I mean, heart math, it's been going on for 15 plus years. I've been doing that research. Yeah.
15 years okay, so I was introduced to it. Joe Dispenza came to Vancouver and I did an advanced course, and they handed out all the heart math stuff as kind of a trial. And
Wow.
it's just simple and easy and magical, right?
Yeah. And we need simple and easy. We really do. We don't need all these complicated techniques and the frustration and all the things you had to do back in the day. It's like we just need to actually be in this world. I mean, that's what Mother Teresa really taught, I think. So a lot of times spiritual people start to reject the world. And I do think that's a natural phase on the spiritual awakening journey. But it's like we got to realize that we're in and of the world, and that's where we actually change it. I mean, Mother Teresa was deep in the groups of people, of sick people all around her. She was in the trenches. And so we have to come out of that phase and go back into the world and change the world as we're creating what we want to see. Yeah.
And the visualization is really, really potent, isn't it? Like really
It
seeing
is.
what you want to create and feeling how that would feel as though it's already.
It's the emotions are such a big part. It's like that visualization with the emotion activated with it. That's like when we spend money in scarcity, it just creates such this truth inside us that isn't true, of shortage. And so it's just that. Yeah. So visualization and the emotion that goes with it. I'm so with you.
And the abundance, like I grew up in a very fear-based scarcity environment, and did a lot of work to learn how to remove those blocks. And money is just energy. It's just love. So I just would imagine standing under a waterfall in Hawaii, and just clean fresh water, and it's an abundance, right? It's just
Yeah.
energy. We're just all messed up in how we perceive it, right?
Right. So much so. Yeah. I mean, and a lot of times people reject money on the spiritual journey. Like it's the matrix. And it's like, no, money isn't the matrix. The programs about money are the matrix. And it's like, it's just how we exchange energy at this moment. It used to be seashells or rocks. Now it's digital numbers and paper and coins. It doesn't matter what it is. And yeah, absolutely. I'm so with you.
It's just energy. Yeah. And you can have as much or as little as you can imagine.
Yeah, people think that there's only so much. That's not true. There's infinite supply. The universe is infinite. We are infinite beings. And it's a hard concept to wrap your brain around, but
So
we are.
don't you think we should be taught that as children, right?
Yeah.
So that it's just right, it just removes those blocks. Like everything's infinite, like it's all energy. So
Yeah.
yeah, just those little tiny concepts that matter. Simple
Yeah.
but very potent in the power of them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's these books by Dolores Canyon. They're called The Convoluted Universe, and there's 4 of them, and they're on Audible. And I really would recommend them to people because they'll blow open your consciousness and start to just give you ideas. And you don't have to agree with it or believe it, but you can just kind of open and expand the mind. But there's some fascinating stuff in there. She talked with one person that was like they were just manifesting in this world, and it was kind of like they had this platform or something where they're just creating stuff and then decreating it because it wasn't quite coming out exactly the way they wanted it to, and so then they decreate it and create another thing again. And it's a great concept of what we can do in this life, of realize that we're just have fun, play, let it be playful. That's one of the tenets of White Goddess is it playful? Is it fun? Because people are so butt constricted and constipated and so serious and so professional. And it's like
intense. And yeah, I noticed that I wasn't even breathing half the time. Like half the time I can't breathe, right? Like these short little, and it's like, what am I doing? You're just in you know,
Yeah.
the contrast or whatever, right? The
Yeah,
constricting.
and we're all just like helping each other so much. It's just like just what you just said. It was I was like, okay, yeah, I need to check in. Am I breathing? Because it gets exciting. And but absolutely. Yeah. And we're all like here to really help each other, I think, on this journey.
Love that. It was great chatting with you today. Do you have anything else that we've missed that you want to share?
No, it's so fun. I mean, I could talk to you for hours, I think, but this was so fun. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I will. I think I'll be knocking down your door for. I love the wealth of information that you have. It's just, it's quite, it's quite amazing that you just rattling that off like it's nobody's business. It's just great. I'd
I'm
like
so
to.
glad that like all of my bookish work as a kid being a total nerd, ended up being exactly
I
what
just love that
makes me
stuff.
cool today or something, it's nice that
Yeah, good on you. Good on you. Okay, well let's touch base down the road
yeah, let's
and
do that.
and share some more of what you're doing. I'm sure you're going to be writing a book or sharing. Do you have you done any books
There's
or
a
anything?
lot of stuff coming down the pipe. Keep it kind of close to the vest until it's ready. But I really encourage people to go to the YouTube channel and get the full moon reading that's coming out. It's premiered, so they can go ahead and sign up for it, or go to the podcast and listen. But yeah, book an astrology reading to start down the map of your soul and start getting connected to your soul. They can get a free astrology portal on my website if they want. They scroll to the bottom and sign up. There's a free astrology portal to learn their planets and their nodes and by house and sign. Some
Wow.
cheat sheets and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, I am going to make sure that we have all of that listed with our podcast, so that information will be easy to access you.
Okay. All right.
Okay, dude.
Great.
Take care.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.